Okay, so this is about dichotomous keys. Now, we've got kind of some rules generally about how dichotomous keys work and what they are, and then we've got two main types that we can use and how we can format them. So a dichotomous key is basically a set of choices, and at each step there are only two choices, often just yes or no, but sometimes we have other descriptions. So once we go through a whole series of these choices in science, we get to the name of a particular organism. Okay, and we can use these kinds of resources, these dichotomous keys, to identify unknown organisms. All right, now often these will be based on visual classification. All right, so not necessarily any genetics particularly, which is usually how we classify organisms, but right off the bat we can begin to classify things based on their visuals and how they behave and all sorts of things like that. So we've got two main formats for how we can lay out a dichotomous key. One is a question list and one is a flowchart. And we can use these formats in other places as well, not necessarily in science. So you probably have seen something like this before. Okay, so let's start with a question list. It's pretty self-explanatory. All right, it's a list of questions and the questions are numbered. And depending on your answer for the first question, that will tell you which question to go to next. All right, sometimes if you've got a lot of questions, it can be helpful to put them in a table. So you've got the question in one column and then perhaps where you need to go to in another column. All right, we've also seen this used in international arrival cards. If you've been overseas, when you come back, you have to fill it in and there'll be some things there. Also, if you've ever helped your parents fill out the census, there will be some questions there about that. So here's an example. We've got a dichotomous key for different types of candy or lollies. Right, so you'll see our first question, we always start at number 1. And our first question is our biggest question. That's what we can easily split all of our lollies into. So this case is the candy chewy or is it hard? And if it's chewy, you move down to question 2 and answer that. If it's hard, in this case, you move all the way down to question 7. All right, and so you can see as we go through, depending on the questions, we will end up with different lollies at the end. All right, so we can sort anything in this manner. It doesn't have to be animals or plants or anything like that. All right, so that's one of our options. The other option is this flowchart. All right, flowchart for me is visually easier. All right, so it's similar to kind of a family tree. We start off at the top and then we branch out as we get more and more specific. All right, often we can have pictures as well, but this one does take up a bit more space than the other one. All right, this kind of format has been used in sort of troubleshooting guides, any decision making. So let's have a look at what it looks like. So here we've got an example of a really broad one in terms of different classes of vertebrates. So that means that their skeleton is inside them. And so we've got this starting out, does it have fur, does it not? If it has fur, it's got to be a mammal. If it doesn't have fur, it could be one of the other things. And so we go through the questions. There is also one that was a meme a few years ago about an engineering flowchart. So does it move, yes or no? Should it move, yes or no? And then if you have a problem, or what's the solution? Okay, so two main types, questions versus flowchart.